Okay? Many of you are excited about learning how to take care of a hiatal hernia because, of course, this is one of the things that is the most important thing we can learn. Now, last week in the iridology class, we slipped in a couple of slides where you have the line coming down right at 12 o'clock, where you have a fork at the very top. And in the sclera class, we went through that in detail again. Now, you can have it in one eye or the other eye or both on this sclera line. I haven't been able to find out how you would read it in the iris of the eye. Doug, have you?
Nothing I've ever seen.
Unless it's something that is unrecognizable in the herniation in the upper part of the stomach. But that can be almost unrecognizable because if you talk to any surgeon, they'll tell you every single stomach is different. Every anatomical positioning of the stomach is entirely different. You never find two the same. So chances are you won't be able to recognize it clearly from the iris. But it does have a certain amount of consistency in the sclera of the eye with the fork at 12 o'clock. Now the fork is always coming down from the edge of the sclera down directly toward the iris at 12 o'clock. We've gone through that with you. Now, Doug, would you take the bull by the horns here? And this is exceedingly important, is the correct maneuver for the hiatal hernia. And I want Doug to be absolutely exact on this. This was developed in the state or the province of Ontario up in Canada by the Chiropractic Association, by certain chiropractors. And later on it was taught throughout Ontario. So Doug, if you'd be kind enough to, who is the lady who's our guinea pig?
Is that you? Okay.
Jan, was that you? Would you come up here, please?
Okay, if maybe we could get Graham and Howard up here. Get a couple of big ones here, and if you guys could get this table set up here. Can everybody see the table if it's there, or you want to get it up here? Why don't we bring the table up here?
Can you see all right from down there?
Just set it up here so everybody can see it. Just
how about Diane, too, Doug?
Going this way.
Diane, would you like to come up? I can just see you eager. I want to come up there and see it. Who?
Sure.
Oh, certainly. Okay. Let's see. Anita, you have something you wanted to share. You want to do that now?
Just on the break, I had a question about body electronics and pregnant women. Normally, what we do if a woman is pregnant, we don't have them on the program while they're pregnant. Maybe some very mild things, maybe a little bit of minerals or maybe some vitamin B's or something like that. But normally, we don't have them holding points, and we don't have their points held on the program. I just want to clarify that. If you are working with a pregnant woman, we prefer that they go through their pregnancy, and then after the child is born, then we could start holding points on them.
Is it ruptured, herniated?
Now, some various herbal formulations may be very valid without the herb pennyroyal, which weakens the structure of the placenta in the uterus and causes it, in some cases, to come loose from the wall of the uterus, where there can be excessive amount of bleeding, which would, where the placenta comes away from the uterus prematurely. Now, for most people who are nutritionally unprepared, if they have a problem with their nutrition, then sometimes it's difficult for the placenta to come forth easily from the walls of the uterus. And in dealing with children and delivering children, there's been times when it just won't come, and you have to work with it and work with it and work with it until that placenta gradually comes loose. Now, this has been of distress to me because the person was not on a program properly to help with the child. Now, in our gynecology course, I had a gentleman who had delivered 15,000 children. And he said, who said something? Okay, but he put every one of his ladies where he gave them full prenatal instructions, but he put them on 300,000 units of vitamin A day, all natural, like carrot juice and so on, with lots of acidophilus. And he said out of the 15,000 deliveries, he never had one problem because the cell tissue was absolutely wonderful. And he didn't have any problem with the placenta then coming loose from the uterus to where there was a bleeding problem or what they call postpartum hemorrhage. Now, there are different homeopathic materials that you can use in postpartum hemorrhage, but don't use the pennyroyal. Use some herbs like squavine, which will help you to increase the uterus strength, the strengthening of the walls. Use something like red raspberry tea, the leaf of the red raspberry, and this is very helpful. And you may want to use the blessed thistle, which helps with preparation for lactation. So these are things that you would want to use, but don't use the pennyroyal. So just keep that in mind, because many of the herbalists will always recommend pennyroyal, and I will tell you I have had nothing but trouble with it on the people that originally we recommended that for. There was the placenta came loose prematurely from the uterus, and I haven't really enjoyed that happening. Okay, are you ready, sir?
She's got a degenerative disc problem, L5S1, so she's a little bit concerned about the back, even with people helping her, so we might want to get somebody else for this.
Let me think for a moment. If there's support to the back, you'll be just fine.
What we're going to do on this one, first thing you always need to do is check the table, make sure everything's good there. Okay, now what we're going to have, now what's your first name again? Jan.
There are
okay.
some tables that are not this form, and if you sit on the end, you fall right off on the floor.
Okay.
So you have to check the table, make sure you have the right kind, make sure the legs are locked.
Okay, we're going to get Jan sitting here. You're going to have your backside right here and your feet that way. Okay, and you want to...
Shoes off, please.
Shoes off. And we could probably use one more fairly strong person up here. Any volunteers? Why don't you come on up here? The jumper there. Come on up. Jump on back up. Got a very important job for you here. Okay. Now she wants to get. That's good like that. You see how I got her way up to the edge of the table like this. Okay. Now, your job is a very, very important one here.
Doug, excuse me just a moment. Excuse me. Are we on a full program? Have you been on minerals and enzymes?
No.
Lots of fresh and raw fruits and vegetables?
Fresh fruit and vegetables.
Lots of fresh and raw fruits and vegetables organically grown?
Yes, some of them. The ones I could get.
You take a lot of fruit juice, don't you?
Yes.
A lot of fruit?
Mm-hmm.
You'll be all right.
Okay. Your job is to make sure she doesn't fall off the table. So what you need to do here, you can just kind of scoot over here, is you're going to lean across her legs there, Like totally, you know, keep your feet in the ground, but get your arms over there, and cause she's gonna be leaning all the way back to the floor here, or towards the floor. So you're kind of the paperweight here, okay? So go to it,
Gently.
okay? You don't have to be gentle. You know, you make sure you get her good and pinned down there. Now, the idea here for this move for the hiatal hernia is she's going to do one special type of a sit-up. You don't normally have to repeat it. I mean, she could do it again the next day, but I mean, right now, normally one repetition is enough. The secret to this is that she's hyperextending. She's not just, if you can just sort of stand up here, way up over here. She's not just going back to where she's horizontal, but she's actually going back past that. She's actually going as far down to the floor as she's capable of. And then she's going to bring herself up very, very slowly. So the stretch is important. If you just sort of stood there like this and you stretch back, you can feel how it kind of pulls in here a bit. And that's exactly what you want, because this is going to help pull things back down into place. You can't, if she just tried to do this right on the floor, there's no way to do it, because you can't go past horizontal with the floor, and you don't get any stretch when you're straight like that. So that's why you need the table. Now, you want to be very careful of the back, especially with anybody who's got any back problems. So what we want to do here in her case is we want to have you over here on this side, take a hold of this arm, and kind of have get a good grip on it. A good grip there. Now you'll get her here on this side, same way like that, okay? And you're going to get down here, and you're going to sort of support against the lower back there with both hands. And what you want to do now is you're going to go back very, very slowly. Jen, go back very, very slowly, and you're going to go down as far as you can. And let me know, are you starting to feel? Let me know when you start to feel a stretch there in this area.
No.
Okay, feel the stretch. Okay, can you go further down?
That's it.
Okay. Now very slowly pull yourself up, and the other people help.
Use the mic, sir.
We want her to do a good bit of the work, but we don't want her to hurt her back. So just give her a bit of help, support the back, and pull up in the arms, and come up very slowly. Now, do you feel that pulling?
Yeah.
Okay, now come on up. Come on up.
There it is. Feel the pulling right down through there.
Now, how is that on your back?
Not bad. Thank you.
Okay. Now stand on up again.
Okay. Doug, show while she's sitting there, show where she should have had the pulling sensation just by the maneuver.
Yeah.
It's only the maneuver. It's not how much you grunt and strain.
It can be anywhere from here on down and through here, because you're dealing basically with your esophagus going down through the diaphragm into the stomach. And so people can get pulling all through this area by the stretch, and in particular by coming back up and using, going through the range of motion and doing it slowly. Now, what did you tell people just what you felt there?
Well, it was rather interesting because I was a little bit frightened, actually, I think is a good word, of going down like that, but I very much wanted to experience what it was like, because only in that comes the knowing. And a lot of the things that have been talked about now help me to actually do that, because at another time I wouldn't have even attempted to do that with my back. As I went down, I felt the feeling more higher up here, but coming back up, it was a very nice feeling, actually, helped by the hands on my back, and I thank you for that. But it was a pulling down.
Perfect.
In a way. Yeah, a pulling down. And I guess right now my hiatus hernia was sustained in the last trimester of my 4th pregnancy, and I've been on Zantac tablets for almost 8 years. And when I think that with that knowledge I could have been practicing that once a day, it makes me bloody angry.
Now, Shan, are you ready to get over that anger?
Yeah, I'd like to go for it, yeah.
Okay. You want your back fixed right now.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay. Now, first of all, I have to check you out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Look at your home, where you live. A beautiful home down there.
Oh,
Got
yeah, that's easy.
it? Okay,
That's
can you
easy.
see it?
Yep,
See the trees outside?
yep,
Okay, now what I want you to do, can you see it just like you're looking at it with your eyes?
yes.
Good. You remember how you hurt your lower back?
Long time ago, yes.
Okay. You remember exactly how you hurt it.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
I'm in a ward on night duty.
Hey?
And I'm in a ward, a hospital ward on night duty. And there's a lady in a waterbed, and that means that it has solid sides with water that she's sort of floating on for pressure areas. She's a lady of maybe 14 or 15 stone.
Okay.
And we were getting her up to change her bed, and she slipped, and I put my right arm in underneath her armpit to hold her.
You see it happening?
Oh, I see it and I
Hold
feel
it.
it.
Now don't go any further. We're ready. Jeff, come here, sir. You stand on her left side, and don't put your arm around her. And when she comes to the pain, which she will, and then she may collapse on the floor, you don't let her collapse. Howard, you stay on the right side. Okay? And Diane, would you just slip around behind her on the table? You just get up on the table and put your legs on either side of her and just prop her up. Okay? And Greg, would you just kind of kneel down in a chair in front of her? Keep the camera out of the line. Okay? Just get a chair to sit on, sir. You're going to be, if in case she falls forward, you're going to catch her. Get off to one side. You'll be fine. You'll have time. Get off to the side. Okay. Now, those of you that can sense energies, I want you to take a look and see what happens here. You're going to have a lot of fun. Now, you stand perfectly still. We're going to work on a visualization aspect of it, like Heather has done. Okay? Okay, Jan?
Yeah.
Okay, you got the mic there? Hold the mic and don't move it. Now watch. All I'm going to ask her to do is to obey the law of love, including unconditional forgiveness, the law of light, using the violet flame. And I want you just to start visualizing, Jan. Oh, you're already doing it. Just wait for me a moment. I want you to give you full instructions. Follow the violet flame just like it's moving from your feet up through your body and out the top of your head there, but encompassing your whole body. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Now, put a special focus of the violet flame right in the disc. That's the degenerate disc right between the 4th and 5th lumbar, and also the 5th lumbar and sacrum. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you ready? Now you got that clear?
Yes.
Okay, just let that flame up through there. Now you've got the lady, you're lifting her up, you've got your arm under the armpit, she slips and falls, feel the back go out. Right there, feel it? Don't move, feel the back go out, and you tell me when it starts burning. Just all I'm asking you to do, just feel the back go out with non-resistance. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, you got the pain?
Yeah.
Intensify the pain. Just intensify it.
Oh.
Got it?
Yeah.
Intensify it just a little bit more and tell me when it starts to burn. There. Feel it?
Yes.
Go. Now intensify it. Let it burn now. You got it. Now just hang on to the burning and hang on to the violet flame and just let it burn. Hold her up now. Her legs will get weak shortly. Tell us what's going on, dear. Just let it burn.
Oh.
You can't burn like this every day. Go for it.
Oh.
Just enjoy.
God.
Keep the violet flame there. This brings everything back to recall. Got the memory? Okay? Now feel yourself faltering there with your arms around her armpit there. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, what's happening? Now feel it.
Oh, it's in my neck.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Feel it again and feel it burning. You got it?
Yeah.
Now intensify it. Really enjoy the pain. What's that?
A light.
What's the word pattern?
A light.
Say it again.
A light.
Okay, where's the light?
The light's behind my right eye.
Feel it?
Yeah.
Okay, did you bump the back of your head there?
Yeah.
Excuse me, it's a good bump, wasn't it? Now feel that light behind your eye and feel that burning from the back of your head all the way through to the front of your head where your eye is.
Oh, man.
You got it?
Yeah, I got
Okay,
it.
now at the same time that that's happening, feel the burning down in your fifth lumbar.
That one's easy.
Pardon?
Yeah.
You got them both?
Yeah.
Feel them both together and feel that big swelling and bump on the back of your head. Enjoy it. There.
Oh,
How's the burning?
it's,
Talk to me.
it's rather nice, actually.
It's what?
It's rather nice.
Rather?
Nice.
Oh. Aussie accent. I don't have an accent. It's the other guy. Okay. Feel it?
Yes.
You feel the warmth going through there now?
Yes.
Okay. Remember you've had trouble with your eyesight for a while there on the right eye?
Yes.
Okay. Now just watch the difference in your eyesight when you come out of this. Is the eye burning?
Not a lot. It's warm.
Warm. Feel the warmth. Was the eye burning a minute ago?
Yes.
Good. How's the burning in the back of the head?
No, it's just warm.
Okay. Now did you fall backward right then?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Hey?
I didn't hear you.
Did you fall backward when you tried to lift the lady? Did you slip right there?
Yeah, I did actually, but I fell on the side of my head.
Okay, which side?
The left.
Okay, did you feel the bump?
Yeah.
Good. Now feel the light behind the eye?
Yes.
Okay, see the light behind the eye now?
No.
Is that gone now?
Yes.
How's the warmth in there?
It's nice. The light just came.
Okay. Now at the same time, feel the lower back go out.
Oh.
What's happening?
There's a sensation spreading across my hips.
A what?
Sensation spreading from my anterior hip on the left side across to the right.
What's the sensation?
It's like little molecules of something.
You feel it
moving.
vibrating in there?
Yes.
Feel it vibrate, just like this.
Yes.
Feel it vibrate?
Yes.
This is the vibration of regeneration. She's gone through the burning. It's not burning now. Now, we have to sort through the thought patterns because now, after the burning, she has access to the mental body and she can check the thought patterns that have held this pain in a state of continual creation. Diane, do you understand that perfectly? Good, I don't. Huh? Do you feel the coldness? Okay, who wants to come up here and feel it? Come up here. Gabby? Anybody else? Where's the coldness, Diane? Feel the coldness where she hurt her back. This is called an endothermic reaction. It's where she's coming from unconsciousness up to fear that we talked about 2 weekends ago. Feel it? How many feel the coolness? Is it cold or cool? Cold. Open the freezer. Just opening the freezer. You feel it? Put your hand on it. Now watch out now. We're going through it now, and hold her up. I feel the cold over here. Cold. Now it'll be like a cold wind. The cold wind will release, and then she'll be very warm all over her body. You go from the endothermic, from unconsciousness up to fear. You got that? And then as you go from fear, where she's no longer afraid, we've still got to get the anger out. We'll come to the anger, and then the pain. We've already got through the burning. So it's just a matter of just letting the anger go, and everything will come out right. You there now?
Yeah.
Feel the anger now at that moment for what's happened there to you. Feel all the self-anger.
I've got to go back to it.
Nothing happening. Feel the anger. We got to get the anger out now. Who are you angry with?
Me, for my bloody
That's right.
stupidity.
Feel it. Say it again.
Bloody stupidity. Why didn't I let her fall?
Come on, say it like you mean it.
Oh, why did I have to catch her? Why didn't I just let her fall?
Say it like you mean it now. Don't hold back. Get irritated. Just
I should have let the bitch fall.
feel it again. Oof. Feel it again. Now you'll feel a cold wind leave, and then we'll shift, okay? Say it again. Feel that anger.
I was stupid. I was so stupid. It's changed my whole life. I should have let her fall.
Now have fun with it. Just say have fun with it. We're all delightful deviations from the norm, aren't we? It's our own guilt and anger toward ourself oftentimes will destroy our very health.
She couldn't help it.
Hey?
She couldn't help it.
Again?
She couldn't help it.
Enjoy. Again.
She couldn't help it.
And you're letting it go, aren't you? But what did you do? Feel that anger right there.
I have a pain in my back, underneath my shoulder blades,
Where's the pain?
under my right shoulder.
Why, where's the pain in the lower back?
It's gone.
How long have you had that pain in the lower back?
I don't know, maybe 20 years.
20 years? Okay, now let's just go through the pain in the upper shoulder. How do we do that? How do we do it? What's the first thing? Very simple. Receive, and then what do we do, Jan? Recreate.
Recreate.
Now intensify the pain in your shoulder. Go for it.
Oh,
I didn't quite get that.
oh,
Now say it like you mean it.
oh,
Feel it.
oh,
When's your shoulder hurt right there and back?
oh,
Right there.
oh,
Hey?
I don't know.
Okay, let's get the memory. Use the violet flame. Talk to me.
I keep going back to the lady when I grabbed hold of her.
How old were you?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 40.
How old?
40.
Okay, you got it?
I have a light flashing over my left eye.
Feel it.
Yeah,
Remember it.
yeah.
Intensify the pain. Now just turn it on. Tell me when it starts to burn. You got the violet.
Now,
Let it burn. And just hold the violet right there till the thing burns out and you got the full memory. All cause, all effect, all record, and all memory. Where's the pain?
in my shoulder blade,
Hey?
under my shoulder blade.
Under your pelvis. I thought it was under your shoulder.
It is. It is under my shoulder.
Under the shoulder blade. Did she see pelvis or shoulder blade? Shoulder. What's happening? I'm swelling under which side? Under the right-hand shoulder blade, okay? The swelling is coming out there. Okay, increase the pain. Do you feel the heat in there, Diane?
Oh.
Getting hotter now. Where's the cold? Jeff, you felt the cold. Where's the cold, sir? It's gone. It's all gone. Now we're into an exothermic reaction. Another part of the body.
Oh.
Okay, now the cold went up to the shoulders. Now what flavor are we getting in the shoulders? Hey? Heat is there. What are you feeling, Diane? I say the swelling was there. What's going on? Okay. Is the numbness gone in your feet yet?
It's still around my knees, but it's gone in my feet.
It's still in the feet. Huh? It's gone in the feet. It's gone up to the knees now. Okay, good. She's fine. Any pain in the shoulder now?
Yeah. Oh, the light.
Intensify it.
Oh.
Like you mean it. Come on.
Oh, it's white
Again.
and red.
More.
Oh.
More. More.
It's a fire.
Hey?
It's a fire. It's red
Let,
fire.
let it burn. Let it burn. Got it?
Oh.
Jeff, can I just look at her head for a moment? Just turn a little bit. What's happening?
The pain is still there.
Don't forget to breathe.
Yeah.
We got her turned on, folks. We can't turn her off for a while. But remember, we're not touching. Touching is only used for that 99% of the barbarians. That 1% that can visualize, we can do it this way. We're among the chosen 99. What's happening? By the way, I didn't mention this to you. When you're working like this, just have fun. What's having fun? What are you doing? You're enjoying it. Is that enthusiasm? What does that do to all the pain? Poof, 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 poof. Because the enthusiasm transmutes the pain. Please keep that in mind. What's happening, young lady?
Diana just touched my back and it was excruciatingly painful. Oh. Should I love and endure?
You feel the pain in there now?
Yes.
You feel the heat in there?
No.
Okay, is it still burning at all?
It's hurting like hell, but it's not burning.
Hurting, but not burning. Keeping the violet there.
Okay.
We're just about there. Do you have the memory as to how you hurt your shoulder?
I keep going back to the lady when I caught her as she fell.
The lady at the hospital where she caught her?
Yeah. Same one. She hurt her shoulder at the same time. Okay. Grab her under the armpit. Let's go through that part on the shoulder. You ready?
Yeah.
Now do it right. Really get in there. Hold her up, Jeff. Okay, what's happening?
I'm getting the lady over to the edge of the bed.
What's she say? Lightheaded?
Getting the lady over to the edge
Okay.
of the bed.
Lightheaded? Is she getting lightheaded?
She's getting the lady over to the edge.
Yeah, I hear that. Is she getting lightheaded?
Yeah, and my knees feel very weak.
Okay. Hold her up now. She's ready to go. Now, feel getting the lady over to the edge of the bed, but feel your pain also that you blocked out at that time. You sacrificed your body to help her out. Very noble cause. Not very practical at times.
I agree.
Eh?
I agree.
Intensify the feeling. How's the pain now?
I can't seem to lock into it. I can't.
What's that?
I can't seem to lock into it.
No pain there?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
pain.
There's pain.
No pain.
Yes.
Intensify it a little bit and then there's no pain. Really intensify it. Now what happens if we run out of minerals?
I got into no pain for just a few moments. And now I'm back into pain.
Yeah, and this will come in and out. Now, how's your knees?
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
They're all better now?
Yes, thank you.
Usually ask how are your nephews. No applause, please. Okay. Now, what we've got here is if you move around gently, can you lift your legs at all now? Move your feet.
Yeah.
Is it numbness gone in there?
Yes.
Okay, now if you move around, what happens to the pain in the back?
As I step on my left leg, it goes away, and as I step on my right, it comes back.
Okay, how about the lower back?
Lower back's fine.
Yeah, I got that. Now, how many years have we had lower back problems?
For me, I don't remember, but certainly 20, I guess,
20 years. Constant pain?
every day.
Can you move around and see and get in a position where you normally have pain?
Usually sitting.
Okay, you got a chair? You want to sit over here gently? Just sit down.
Especially in these lovely chairs.
Help her over there. How's the pain?
Dear God, they're comfortable.
Now, I forgot to look at your eyeballs. What color are your eyes, dear?
Well, after seeing that iridology chart, I just don't know anymore.
What color were your eyes?
Yes.
Hazel with brown spots. Doug, would you do the honors? This is going to be fun. Now remember, she got a lot of burning in there, folks.
Straight at me. Look up a little bit. Look over that. Straight at me now. Straight back at me.
I haven't seen it before, so you take a look at her and tell me what you see.
What's the color, Doug?
Well, I mean,
Here you go.
I mean, it's definitely green, and to me, it looks like it's kind of a bluey green. I mean, I would say there's a good bit of bluish color there.
take the mic here, please.
Jan had quite a few brown patches in her eye, particularly in her left eye. There was a large brown spot at the bottom, and another one over to the side, and that's gone. That's gone. Right at the moment, she's got greeny blue eyes.
And the you can't have it any better. So the one spot is gone, that
Yes,
big one.
Gone. Big one. Yes, a big one in the left eye that was in the sort of lower section of her eye is gone.
Okay. Now who else? Minnie, did you check the eyeball out? You didn't.
Howard had a look before because he wanted to have a look at the hiatus hernia to see where that.
Okay,
Twist,
check that
just the other way.
hiatus hernia and see what we've got.
You want me to show
With the right eye or the left side? There's nothing there.
you? It's gone. There's no Y there.
No, actually there's no line.
Little one there. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you're doing fine. Yeah. Have a look at it. Just this other
This
one.
one here.
Yeah.
Can't see anything there.
No, that's.
And we'll check this one again.
Yeah.
It's in one eye.
Yeah. Look down right there. No, it's gone.
No, it was very pronounced.
It was
and
very
if-
pronounced, and it's not there.
There and all it's gone back so light you could hardly see it.
Yeah.
It's very pronounced.
It was a very pronounced line, and it's gone right back.
Okay. Now, you want to get up and move around. Okay. Howard, just let her walk down a little bit. Have her take your arm. Any pain getting up?
No, not in the lower back.
You want to try it again? Sit down again, see if there's any pain there at all. That feel better?
I've actually had a pain down my sciatic nerve since we travelled up here, and it works its way down and it forks off into the back of my calf. And for the first time in, I don't know, when did we come? A week ago? I haven't got that pain anymore. I have to experience what it's like not to have that pain. Thank you.
Where does credit go, dear?
I'm still working out that I think it goes to the God without, but most definitely the God within.
That's correct. You got it.
Thank you.
Okay. That's where it is. And we're all one in that area. Okay, Howard, if you'd be kind enough just to gently help her down the stairs. We got to test this out and see that it's all right. How's that? Okay. You want to get down on the floor and do a, you want to get down on the floor and do a lotus position? Let's see it. If you can do a lotus position, you know that lower back's going to be fine because that's...
Can you go on the stage so we can... Sitting cross-legged.
After a number of years, how's that coming up the stairs? Nice. Okay. Can you hop up here? How was that? You saw her, how much pain she was in when she got up there the first time. How's that feel?
Good. Good.
Okay.
Good.
Now can you sit there cross-legged?
I'll make sure you don't pitch up back.
Okay, let's try.
Okay, get the other one up. No way could you do that if you had a fourth or fifth lumbar problem.
I have an awareness on my right-hand side in that area, but it's more muscular, and it's not a pain, it's just...
Tightness,
Yeah, it's tightness, yeah,
no pain.
an awareness on that side. Wow. Wow.
Okay, this is body electronics, folks. Do you understand that? But it goes beyond just point holding because we're employing 3 laws. The laws of love, light, and perfection. The diet's part of the laws of perfection, and here's where she's been on a fairly good diet and doing everything she can, and she has simply dedicated herself for the service of her fellow man, and she has said, just make me well enough so I can continue to be good to somebody, of some good to somebody, right?
I'm not sure of that yet, John, but I might get to a
But
point.
haven't you wanted to be well so you could continue in the service of the people that you serve?
Yes, but I want it to be well for me too.
I know, but for what purpose?
Well, so I could enjoy my life with my family again, so I could join my life with me, so
But-
that I could...
And so you
yeah.
can continue doing things for people. That's
Yeah.
your greatest joy.
But I don't know if I'd still grab that lady or if I'd stand out of the way, and
Oh, you know, you probably
I'd probably grab
you
her.
probably put her on her weight reduction program first.
Hopefully I'd stop her getting in there in the first place. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Bless your heart. That's wonderful. How's the pain? You know what to do with that pain in the shoulder now, don't you? And then it'll probably be in your thigh bone on the left, and then it'll be over on your foot on the right, and it'll keep on moving until the healing crisis is complete. Comments, Doug? Are you on?
Am I on? Yes.
Yes, you're on.
My question is, someone who's had an operation on that hiatus hernia, would that exercise still help them?
I'd be careful if it's a fresh operation, because you can put a tremendous amount of pressure on a recent incision and cause a tearing in the tissue. So you have to be careful. But I have seen cases where we've even have triple bypass with huge, scarring there, and I've seen that completely go away in about half an hour of severe burning pain, doing something just like we did right here with Jan.
How long would you wait for that to heal before you would even attempt that exercise, do you think?
You'd have to feel it carefully and wait till it heals properly and not put undue pressure or strain in that area.
Thank you.
Okay? Now, in the meantime, you might want to gently hold points and bring about a healing in it without putting them under that without putting them under all that pressure. Just point holding would help marvelously. Now, who wants to say something? Somebody's very excited. I told you to be aware of energies. What did you see? Anybody?
I've got 2 questions. One of them is, have you ever had people go through a healing crisis without ever being on the program?
Yes.
Because when I was in the Marine Corps, I fell off something and dislodged 2 ribs really hard, and it hurt really bad. But there was this drill instructor there laughing at me, and I got really annoyed at him. Well, that's an understatement, but I got really annoyed at him, and I just carried this hatred for this guy around with me for months. And my chest really, really, really hurt. And then one day I said, oh, forget this. And whenever I went on a run and it hurt really bad, I'd just start laughing. And within 3 or 4 weeks, my chest was all healed. I actually dislodged 2 ribs. They were completely popped out. One morning I woke up and they were just back to normal, no pain. The only time I get pain is when I reminisce about boot camp. I just never really thought about that before.
U.S. Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And you had a drill instructor that kept kicking you.
No.
What was he doing to you?
We were on what they call a night infiltration course. It's where you pretend to be really tough and run around in the dark and jump into muddy holes and get cut up on barbed wire and stuff.
But did he ever put you under stress and have you stand still while he booted you a few times?
No. They made me do like 10 million push-ups on my birthday because my mother called.
And anything to pick on you, right?
Yeah.
Make it tough. Okay, how'd you feel after that?
How did I feel?
Yeah.
I actually thought it was funny because I kept kicking sand all over the senior drill instructor's feet.
Huh?
But I didn't really think I held a grudge about it.
Did he hold a grudge on you?
He didn't, but another drill instructor did.
And what did they do to you?
Oh, well, they stood me up against this brick wall and
Yeah.
pretended to throw punches at me, and they actually just punched the wall. It was just to scare excuse my French, it was just to scare the shit out of me, which it did, really bad. I don't think my heart slowed down for about a week.
Okay. And then what happened to your shoulder?
On my chest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was too worried about the thoughts going through my head
And the
anything in
ribs?
my body. What was that?
And the ribs?
They eventually got better, but at the time I wasn't too worried about it because it was right near the end of boot camp when it all happened, and I didn't actually till I probably a week before the end of boot camp is when it got better.
Okay, we're not going to go through that tonight. But you can have a healing crisis just on your own, totally. Sometimes in your dreams at night. Sometimes in your dreams, remember that. Okay, folks. What time is it? Just about 7 o'clock. Did you enjoy? Okay, go give Jan a hug. I don't think you'll have to protect her back anymore. Hey? Just give her a hug before you go. It's been a beautiful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sweet dreams.
Quite impatient in wanting to see all kinds of phenomena happen, and they want to see it now. And because the phenomena doesn't happen quickly, then they leave. And you all know last night, you all know who were here, you all know that we had a very, very beautiful thing happening. And Jan, would you like to come up, please, for the people who left early? Some had to leave early. Some left early disappointed that things weren't happening. But would you like to come up here and share exactly what's been going on here and how things have been for you for a period of time and how you are now? And exactly, basically, what happened. And we have this on tape, and frankly, some people would give their right arm to see this sort of thing happening firsthand because of the, not the phenomena, but the application of law. And this is what Jan did. She did the application of law, and things happen the way they should happen. So Jan, would you take a few minutes, please, and share with this lovely group of people here what has actually been happening with you the last 24 hours.
Wow. How much time have you got? Enough. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm still working through what's been happening for me in the last 24 hours. I guess I came to this group with a little cynicism in me, and perhaps a little cynicism is still there. And on Saturday, to be perfectly honest, I think I might have been able to stand up and say what that young gentleman said yesterday. Perhaps not so eloquently, but some of those feelings were running through me as well. Lots of things have happened in a week, more things than I could tell you now. But slowly, with what's been said, both by the people here on the stage and all of the people who've shared at morning tea time and lunch times, and particularly to Heather, a special connectedness, a special love, and a lady who is a born teacher, and I thank you. But I've gone from fear to move my body due to a back injury that's been with me for about 20 years to And my fear was for my body. I didn't honestly believe that there would be any healing because I'm not on the program. I believe that mentally I've been preparing for this for a long, long time. But we've decided that if we're to go on the program, it's going to be where we're close to our own toilet and not flying back to New South Wales. So that was a little bit of self-protection in there. For me to arch my back that far for the first time in 20 years has been absolutely, and I have to stop using the word unbelievable because that's the programmed word. I guess what I have to say now is wonderful, remarkable, and part of that flexibility is still with me. The light, I will never forget. The burning and the embers that were coming up from that flame, little black flecks that went up into the air, are in my memory forever, and I hope that I can contact with them again. I spent rather a night in which I believe that early in the night there were 4 of us from the Hunter Valley who've met for the first time and shared some remarkable times together. And I think I debriefed on pure adrenaline for most of the night. My discomfort, because I don't call it pain compared to the pain I had, but my discomfort moved around in my body like some sort of jumping frog from one place to another. But for all of us who have what I call the mature bladders, who need to evacuate during the night, my way of getting out of bed was usually to edge myself to the side of the bed. And sometimes I can sit and sometimes I go to my knees before I can stand. And I can remember the pure joy in the message that went from that bladder up to my brain. And I actually lifted up both of my legs and sort of just swung out of bed. And I thought, wow, I was half asleep. But this morning, also I have felt, and I have to say this, when people have stood up here and said the things that they've felt, I thought, oh yeah, you know, carried away a little bit. I thought that, Gabby, I have to tell you early. It's just pure honesty, love, that's all. But between here and there, I have a dip in my back and I can feel the muscle structure on both sides. I have one of the sorest buttocks. My bum on the right-hand side is so sore, but it is not painful. I have experienced pain behind my knee, in my ankle, and when I was trying to walk some of it off in the park this morning, I felt as if someone had their finger on the heart point, and I didn't know. I don't know enough to know if it was the one down below or the firing one above. But I've thought about lots of things in my life. I often wondered how Tarzan could be as muscular as he could be and do the feats that he could do on fruit. You know, think about it. I thought, how does he do this? I remember that when I was a little girl, because all he used to eat was bananas and fruit out of the trees. And I've heard John say, lovingly and willingly, and I thought, what is that? What does that mean? And in the park this morning, I found out what that meant. I'd just been calling it something else. I used to call it go with the flow. So all of the things that I've learned, all of the experiences that I've had are suddenly starting to come together. And I guess, like some of you, I feel like I have perhaps a big toe into what body electrics might be all about. But I'm stiff and I'm sore and I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Jan, would you like to introduce your new friend? your new friend? Diane.
Diane has been my friend both in this world and in many other times. We just can't quite figure it out. But I'd like to share with you something that's happened for Diane. Would you mind? Come on up. I only have my concept of what happened for me internally. I don't have the visionary that you had, the people who stayed. I honestly don't know what you saw, and I may not do that until I see a video, and the thought of it being on video, I don't even know about that. I haven't had that experience yet. But to the people who were with me, and they were with me around this table, I thank you. I thank you for your love, and I thank you for your connectedness, because it will be a valuable part of my life. But for my friend Diana, we watched her last night, the four of us, Minnie and Cara, we ate together. And one of the things that happened before Diana left the hall, if you'll notice, she has very blonde hair. And it was interesting that on the left side, and if I might, Di, just turn your head that way. On and up please. Here, we're right? Oh, look at this flower, isn't it wonderful? On the left side here, there began a streak of darkness through Diana's hair, which came to about here, and it was about as wide as my thumb. By the time we got home, it was down here into the pins at the back. The other thing that was happening is that there were other streaks of dark hair, predominantly from the top on this right-hand side. By the evening, and we actually sat and had a meal together and were watching her hair, because if we talked about something for 15 minutes and we went back, there were a couple of more dark strands. But the other thing is that at the back of her hair, here, the dark hair was beginning to form. This morning, we have traced it. It looks as if it is blonde because it's covered by the outer hair. But we have traced it to the very end of Di's hair, which is about this long. And there are also some streaks beginning to occur on the left-hand side. Wow. Anybody tingling? Thank you. Because I have to share with you that even though people told me that that hair was darkening, I thought, oh yeah. But I will never think, oh yeah, again. Will we?
No, it was quite an incredible experience to be up here with Jan, because I knew how much she wanted to heal her back. And I know that she'd been sending out for it for a long, long time. And I also knew the devil's advocate in her, which said, this is what I want, but it cannot be. And so it was a great mind shift for her to be able to accept, to trust, to be able to say, yes, I believe that this might happen. So it was a very special experience for me, because the way John had positioned me, I was very much in contact with her body, and I had my leg on either side of her waist and down along her hips. And so I could feel when her body moved. I could feel when her knees were going, and I actually held her with my legs. So I was very much connected to many of the things that were happening for her. And and I think Jeffrey first said, you know, it's cold. And then I felt like a cold, Jeffrey said like when you open the door of the fridge. But for me, and I was just a little bit further up than Jeffrey was, but it was like when you open the car window and you get a sudden waft of cold air that comes in from outside. And many people felt the sort of really coldness, but when some people came up, there were so many people here that some of the cold had dissipated. By the time everybody had put their hands in, they had contributed their own warmth, and so it was hard for people to feel that. But once again, I say that I wouldn't have believed that unless I actually felt it happening. And the other thing that happened for me was that, and I didn't say it at the time because I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but when Jan was visualising that situation where she had actually leant over the bed and was helping the lady across, what I could smell was this really strong smell of urine, and I thought, oh God, I hope she hasn't wet her pants, you know. So I didn't say anything because I thought, well, I don't want to mention that, but she hadn't, and when I said there was this really strong smell of urine, it was the smell that I could sense. She said, "Oh yes, she was." The reason we were moving her in the bed was that it was really wet and it was a water bed, and there was a great pooling of urine over the side where she was. I had never heard that story from Jan before. I just thought she had done it lifting somebody up in the bed. I really didn't know, but I could actually see the lady quite clearly in my head as well. So Jan was visualising that so clearly. I was getting that message. I could see the arm of the lady that she had hold of. I could see, and it was very pale and puffy, and Jan said, yes, she was a diabetic lady. And that once again links into the smell of that urine, which is very strong. So
that urine was all tied in by association to the pain that was suppressed at the time of the accident.
Right. Uh-huh.
Okay? No, you didn't. But the smell and the urine itself that was on your body at that time was all suppressed during the pain that was suppressed from the fall. And when you come back through the trauma in reverse order, all of the odors that are in the room, or the anesthetic that's in the bodies, or whatever was there, you will re-experience as was experienced here.
Yes.
Now you can't take that away from you because it happened. You tell other people that when they go through a tonsillectomy in reverse order through a healing crisis, the smell of the ether will fill the room. Or you get that faint garlic smell, of the anesthesia that a person is administered to during an operation, and that comes out and people who are familiar with the anesthetic and actually identify the anesthetic as it's coming out of the person as the unconsciousness is coming off the person. So all these things fit together. But the one thing I want you to be aware of, if you haven't seen it before, it's obvious what happened to Diana last night. And the hair will change back gradually to its natural color from the roots all the way out to the end. Just like people who have been, shall we say, in a very traumatic situation, the hair will turn white overnight. Now, Doug will remember me when I had a black beard. And when I was in Pennsylvania, I had a near-death experience, and I was running for my life, and I was scared spitless, and from here down, my beard turned white at that point of time. And it's starting to still come out from that situation. That was quite scary for me. And I blocked that thing out from my memory. But as these things come back, then the hair starts coming back to its natural color.
It's quite incredible. I just don't know how I'm going to kind of explain this when I go home, that I now have striped hair. I don't know.
What did you ask me a question? I'm sorry.
No. I just said I don't quite know how I'm going to explain
You
when I go
don't.
home that I've got striped
Just
hair.
tell a person very simply, it's very simple to understand, tell them that when they start to go through the ascensional process, the hair comes back its natural color, and the skin comes back and loses its wrinkles and becomes elastic and fresh and clear again. That's all you have to tell them.
Oh, I'll tell them that.
Because they're going to have to know this sooner or later. Because this is what this is all about. It's the regeneration of the body. But the first step, when you know that the body is on the road to the ascensional process, the hair begins to change. The body begins to regenerate. Things that were not working are now working. And you'll see that happening. And the main thing that I want to share with all of you is a statement that was made to me one time by my spiritual teacher. And he took me aside and he said, John, he says, stay at the manger, hay or no hay. I said, what? He said, stay at the manger, hay or no hay. And you'll find, and this will be everyone's experience, you go week after week after week after week of no apparent change while you're getting your points held and while you're working with yourself. And suddenly you'll make a breakthrough. After you have all but given up, then everything will happen for you that you've been wanting. And then when that healing crisis happens, you wish it wasn't. Yeah, you know what I mean? And this is just stay at the manger, hay or no hay, and the consistency will bring you through it. Don't give up don't even give up. Just keep working through it until you come out total victor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It would be very inappropriate to say, what beautiful guinea pigs. But what beautiful, beautiful examples of the process of what we're all trying to learn and apply. I'm very grateful for that. Any comments?
Yeah, just a couple things here. You watch different people embody electronics, and it appears that some people have almost immediate results when they're not even yet on a program, and it appears that other people get on a program for years and years and years and don't appear to have a whole lot happen. And I think you could say, on the one hand, by outer appearances, it would seem sometimes that things are not fair, and that may be true, but I think that ultimately, if any of us were really truly in a position to know all that a person has done, going back over eons of time, I think we'd realize that as the expression goes, the wheels of justice grind slow but exceedingly fine. And in a much broader sense, probably things are a lot more fair than they appear to be. But in our limited perspective, which all of us fall into, it doesn't appear that way. And I think this is why we have the opportunity to do what I suggested we do yesterday morning, which is, and I hope a lot of you did this, what were all you feeling when you saw Jan getting healed up there? You don't have to raise your hands or anything, but did anybody get a little jealous? Did anybody kind of wish it was them up there? Don't raise your hands. I don't really want to know, but I'm just saying, look very closely at yourself, because there's always that, in many of us at any rate, there's that little bit of like, well, that's great, but how come that's not me up there? Or how come, hey, she said she wasn't even on the program, and I've been, taking all these minerals and all these enzymes, and gee, it's not fair. So I'd invite you all to enjoy the opportunity to look at your own stuff in all of this, and I'd also invite you to enjoy the opportunity to embrace the apparent contradiction of things aren't fair.
Okay. Jan, come up here.
Yeah, I guess that leads me back into one thing which was an incredible phenomena for me, and that is, I guess, the love from all of you, those who came up to me and said how wonderful I was. That was, I'm a hugger. I need 8 hugs a day for my health, and I get them whatever way I can. And I go out to get more, and they always come. But for all of you, and I can't remember numbers, things are hazy, but you came to me and you gave me hugs of pure love. And I had forgotten that in recalling those particular instances. Doug just brought it back for me. And please keep giving that, because, yeah, we need to keep giving that. That's all. It's just the way it is. Thank you.
When we can be just as grateful that someone else has received a blessing as we would be if it had happened to us, if we can do that, if we can be just as grateful for somebody else receiving a blessing as we would be as if we had received it ourselves, that's what opens the doorway for us to start receive blessings. And until we can do that, we're basically keeping the door shut on ourselves, not on anybody else, but on ourselves.
The color of the eye in Jan also went through a demonstrable change. And did you have pictures of your eye before, Jan, of the iris and the sclera? Good. Pardon? The ones before were not nice. Okay, but a lot of those spots are gone. The color has changed dramatically, and it'd be very nice to get another set of slides of your eye or pictures of your eye so that you can have a continual record of that. It's very important. Okay, now, next item here. Anna, would you come up here, please? Now we have some stuff to sort out here a little bit, and we have some people hearing one thing as we're discussing it. We have some people hearing another thing as we have discussed it. And for the record, we're going to sort out some things now. And Anna, I'd like you to take charge, and we'll take one thing at a time and clarify it.
Yesterday, John brought up the subject of Reiki, and I had to say to John this morning that most of what he said yesterday I disagreed with, and so between us this morning we decided to set the record straight. First of all, it was my understanding, John, that Reiki was being quite heavily compared to body electronics and came off very much second best. My understanding of Reiki is that Reiki is basically unconditional love, and that anyone sending Reiki is the person receiving it is receiving the energy for their highest good, as they would be in body electronics. I got the impression yesterday that perhaps this wasn't the case.
Well, that is the case.
Thank you.
Now, when a person is sending Reiki, I made the statement yesterday that some people didn't hear, is that the person is a channel for that energy. But the person, I made the statement also yesterday that the Reiki energy, the universal life force, we can call it, when it comes through the individual, it can be blocked by the person's own resistances. So the channel is no better than the clarity of the channel, okay? Because there are some people who are able to demonstrate the power of Reiki, and there are other people who cannot, because they can't get the flow moving through their particular body. So it's not that you have let's put it this way, some people are capable of channeling the energy from the universal life force more than other people. And that's obvious. Some people have a gift of healing, and other people have not developed that gift of healing. It's the development is extremely important. Now, I support the concept of Reiki 100%. Don't misunderstand me on that. But the thing is, about Reiki, is that it will give an individual, and I want to clarify this very firmly, it will give the person energy that the person will use according to their highest and best good. And I would use those words. And sometimes that was the meaning that I had yesterday, but sometimes the meaning isn't clear because I don't use the right words and we get hung up in the concept of semantics. But I hope that that clarifies my position on that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy with that?
Yes, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
I'd also like to bring up the matter of the healing crisis, because I believe, and I've seen, and I've been through it myself, that a healing crisis in Reiki can be as powerful as a healing crisis, or I actually prefer to call them healing opportunities, as powerful as a healing opportunity in Reiki. I also, further to that point, would like to bring up the point of continuing. My understanding in Reiki is that when you put your hands on someone, in theory, you should stay on a position which is drawing energy until the energy switches off. Now, this could be 10 minutes, this could be 1 hour, this might be 2 hours, depending on how ill the person is.
Are you aware that people will differ with your point of view on that? That many people are taught, stay on this point for maybe 10 minutes and then go on this point for 10 minutes and go on this point for 10 minutes.
Yes, I'm aware people are taught that, but I was not taught that. And
Do you hear this? This will be one of the major conflicts you're going to have. And I want you to understand this concept in relationship to the healing crisis. Now, when you put hands on somebody, Anna, how long do you leave your hands on there? What do you use as a judgment or discernment for moving your hands to the next spot?
Well, I tend to work intuitively, and if I need to stay there, I do, and if I don't, I don't.
What do you feel in your hands?
Well, it depends on the person who's under the hands, whether I feel chill or tingling or heat or cold, or it varies according to who's under the hands.
But isn't not it true from what you've said that you stay there until the reactions are gone?
Yes, as a rule I would, yeah.
Okay, now if you stay there until the reactions are gone, that will be similar to body electronics. Because you will not get hung then with the incomplete patterns of reaction, which most people move off the point before it's completed.
Okay.
And they get hung with those energies because it hasn't finished.
The point about being hung with the energies, or being, as I might term it also, left with somebody's emotional garbage. In Reiki, I, along with many Reiki channels, take on other people's emotional garbage. And in my way of teaching Reiki, I teach people a way of getting rid of that. I'm interested to see in body electronics that if one stops in the middle of a healing crisis, that they're actually left with numb fingers or numb thumbs or whatever that is. And to me, in Reiki, that would be, I would be saying to people, remove that, get rid of that, teaching them a way to move that so they didn't have to walk around for the next week holding someone else's emotional stuff, which I think is really important, because I don't think human beings need to be left holding that kind of garbage. Then when the person comes back for the following treatment, then the healing can be continued and the practitioner can come back into that state again.
What if the practitioner doesn't?
Well, I'd have to say that the practitioner hasn't learned properly how to rid themselves of the energy. I believe in some instances, possibly in Reiki, as there are in many modalities, and not only in the alternative healing, but in business and all sorts of things, there are perhaps many charlatans out there. And Reiki is not necessarily being taught as Reiki should. So if they're not letting it go, then they simply haven't been taught that.
I was taught the following. is you stay on an area that you're working with until it is completely cleared.
Mhm.
No tingling, no heat in the hands, no numbness in the hands, no electricity in the hands,
Yep.
similar to body electronics.
Mhm.
And this has made a lot of sense to me because from body electronics point of view, I worked with that for many years before I even heard of Reiki. And so this is where my bias is coming from, and therefore I will judge naturally through my own bias and my own experience. I'll look at Reiki and compare that with the experience that I know works. And so this is where I'm coming from, and so oftentimes the terminology will be different that I will use than what a Reiki master will use.
I've actually worked with Reiki masters from what I call the traditional Reiki system, and from the other newer Reiki system.
What do you mean the traditional Reiki system?
Traditional is what I have been talking about, which is teaching people how to stay on a point until such time as the energy switches off. It comes at healing from a distinctly metaphysical and quite profound point of view. Other systems do teach this: keep the hands on the body for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 seconds, and so on and so on. And in that way, a healing can end up being incomplete depending on where the person is at who is receiving the Reiki.
In Hawaii, we were privileged to have Phyllis Furumoto stay at our location in Maui and trained a number of people in the Reiki technique. And what she said, you stay on a particular point and don't limit that. You can't limit yourself to a time element. You have to leave yourself wide open for a time element and stay there until it's completed. Would you agree to that?
I would agree with that, and there I would see a marked similarity between Reiki and body electronics.
Say that again, please.
I would see a marked similarity between Reiki and body electronics in that way, in that one stays on a point until such time as the energy switches off, or depending on how one's applying the healing.
Now, you have heard me say that body electronics is a very barbaric technique. Why would I say that?
Because you're pushing people through their stuff.
Okay? Now, if a person is incapable of visualizing, then you're going to have them re-experience enough of their blocked pain, which will be in that computer chip full of stored memory or the crystal in the body. That you have to do. Now, I don't believe I have ever made the statement that with Reiki, if a person, let me put it this way, if a person cannot and will not, because of their resistance and their trauma, if they cannot experience that pain, then naturally they're not going to be able to go through a healing crisis. But if they're capable of visualizing, capable of receiving the flow of the universal life force through the body in a Reiki session, can they then go through a healing crisis?
Yes, they can go through a healing crisis. I've actually healed someone's broken bone. I was holding my hands on this gentleman's foot, and he suddenly went into extreme pain, and I said, well, are you happy that I stay with this? Which he was. And for 5 minutes he was in terrible agony, and he came through that. And then when the energy switched off, I took my hands away, and the next morning he was out jogging. I will also say that treating people in a clinical situation, that people will be on the table, the session, which will generally last 1 hour, they go away, and then I've had people phone me up the next day and say, what have you done to me? I just threw up everywhere all last night. What happened? And so the healing opportunity can come quite some time after. The healing opportunity can come quite some time after the actual, as it were, laying on of hands.
Now, explain that in a little more detail.
Well, what I believe is that once someone presents themselves for healing, for Reiki treatment, that the Reiki actually works on very deep levels, from the cellular through to the spiritual level and the emotional and physical levels. It's working on all those levels at once. And once someone presents themselves for healing, basically they're saying, I'm opening up or I'm ready to receive this healing. If the healing stops before the crisis has been reached, then the healing will continue, and often up to a number of days following a treatment. And people can experience phenomena sometime after the crisis.
Sometimes a
sometime
couple of
after
months.
the treatment, sure.
It just keeps
Yes.
just keeps going until the healing crisis is complete. Now, where we would find that in body electronics, if we work on a crystal, which is the barbaric form, then you have these big calcifications like in the spine, and you work on those calcifications and continue working on that till it's completely gone. And then they're not going to be still going through a healing crisis, say, 60 days later, which oftentimes will happen if you leave a person in the middle of it. But if the person can't endure the pain in Reiki, then they're stuck there, and they keep going through the changes over a period of time. Just like if you have a bruised thigh, for example, you run into a table, a corner of a table. Under the point holding, or Reiki, under the point holding, the bruise will go away quite quickly. If a person doesn't go through the point holding, and let's say they have a Reiki treatment, but they're not willing to get in touch with the pain, then it might take a series of days before they can gradually release that pain, and then the bruise will go away and that body part will heal.
Yes, people heal at different rates. Someone might come in for a treatment and be ready to heal at that moment and in that instant, and the healing could be very quick. But for other people, the process, there's fear comes in, or anger, or some of the emotions, and the process can take much longer. I mean, like another day, or another year, or another month, depending really on where the person's at.
Okay, are we in harmony on that point? This is important. Next project. Are we clear?
Yes.
Anything else you want to add? Anything you can think of?
Question.
John and Anna, a very important point that Anna just brought up is if a person is not ready, or he feels too much trauma or pain or whatever have you, and the point holders come off or have to come off because that person just does not want to tolerate the pain, what happens? Anna she brought up a point that you end up with all this emotional garbage or whatever have you. In body electronics, what do we do? And from Anna's point of view, what do we do?
Okay, you educate until the person makes a commitment that no matter what, they're going to go through it until they clear it. And you stay with them until they're capable of clearing it, which may take quite some time in certain isolated situations. But you're there working, the point holder and the point holdee are there working together until the condition is made right.
Right, I understood.
No matter what the person has to go through. And it may be 3 or 4 hours of excruciating pain that the person in the right mind would never agree to.
I would agree with John there, and also to say that education is the most important thing, because people, certainly in Western society, believe that when they're getting better, they feel better. You know, they have a drug, they have a Band-Aid situation where something is administered and instantly makes them feel better, but covers up the problem. And that is the kind of premise from which people are used to being healed. So it does take a lot of educating to tell them you need to get worse before you're going to get better, and this is how it's probably going to happen. So if you're prepared to stay with that, then we're dealing here with a cause and not the symptom.
Could it happen, like for instance, there were 7 of us on the point holding yesterday, could it happen that when cycling begins and others are still feeling heat in their fingers or tingling or whatever have you, could it happen that that they aren't finished with that particular point?
No. When the cycling begins, that means you have run out of the proper nutrients. And if I were to make some comments on this, in my experience, I find out that if a person is not nutritionally prepared, even the results in Reiki will be lessened. If a person is ready to heal and they're nutritionally prepared, then they will be able to heal a broken bone, where the average person would not be able to go through that because the body will not allow it to happen because the nutrients are not there. This is as I would see it. Because I find, for example, that if a person is not nutritionally prepared and you have a huge calcification on the upper back, with body electronics, you'll find that after the nutrients have been used up and the person's out of minerals, if I can, just like a petrol tank, you're out of petrol, that no matter how much body electronics you use, that calcification will not go down any further. You with me on that?
Yes, yeah.
And you have to send the person home and get them juiced up, shall we say, on nutrients, and then you can finish that particular project. Now, I'm talking about calcification in the back. Now let's say that you're operating here on the physical level and you've dissolved the calcifications. If you have not released the trapped emotionality and the person is not willing to look at that, whether it's body electronics or whether it's Reiki, then that condition will return to the person because they haven't changed their consciousness. And as the Reiki teachers must teach this to their students, because oftentimes a person comes in and through their lack of knowledge, they want it done to them. They want the Reiki to heal them, where they won't put forth an effort themselves to help themselves. And so there has to be a lot of education in here. Anna, would you agree with that from your experience?
Yes, I would. I believe that it's everybody's responsibility to heal themselves. But I also think that in Reiki, that because the energy is working on all four levels, as I said, spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental, thank you, that emotional trauma can be released without the awareness of necessarily having to address it and to address intellectually the thought patterns which happen. Because I believe that talking about a physical condition healing is, to me, the physical and the emotional are inextricable. They are one and the same. So as a calcification heals, then that calcification, as it melts or disappears or goes away, is actually removing with it the emotional trauma, the thought form, and that thought form does not necessarily have to intellectually be addressed.
Now, this is where I would disagree, okay, in all fairness, because I find that if a person will not be responsible for their own thought forms or decisions, then the thought forms or the decisions or the thinking of the individual actually have control over the morphogenetic field, which then determines virtually the very structure of matter itself. And so it goes back to the thoughts. And this is where, Anna, with all due respect, and we can agree to disagree on this, I do feel that it would be imperative, that's kind of strong, but it's where we have to know what the thought patterns are and be able to change our thought patterns. Because if we don't take responsibility for them, the conditions that were cured by Reiki will return. That's why in Reiki, you have a person coming in for a treatment, the symptoms are resolved, but 6 months later, everything has returned again.
All right, well, what I'd like to say to that is conversely, someone coming into a Reiki seminar and being attuned with Reiki energy can move ahead light years without necessarily having to address any thought forms, any emotions. They may undergo an enormous healing crisis. I've been in a fortunate position of seeing many people following Reiki seminars once they've been attuned with the energy. And they come back saying things like, well, they feel much calmer, or suddenly they've mended family relationships which have been poor for like 20 years. They're not quite sure how that happened, but suddenly they're getting on with their mother-in-law, or they're speaking to a sister that they haven't spoken to, or that kind of thing. Myself, I underwent an enormous healing crisis, certainly after Reiki 1. And my whole life since Reiki 1 has transformed. I'm not saying that's entirely just due to Reiki, but it was certainly the trigger that has got me to where I am now. I'm certainly a very different person now to the one that I was. So I'd have to say that, you know, from the time of, say, a Reiki seminar and seeing people attuned with energy, and 6 weeks later seeing them and hearing reports back from people, that they haven't necessarily consciously let go of thought forms or addressed emotional trauma, but their lives have transformed.
Can we both agree that the energy is coming from the outside in and flowing through you, for example, as a channel?
Oh, yes.
Into the other individual, which is giving them this energy from the outside in, which they can use, as you would use the expression, which I'm not in argument with, but healing for the highest and best good. Mm-hmm. Okay, but we will agree that it's coming from the outside in. Mm-hmm. Now I'd like to have Doug, because Doug is one of the few people on this earth that has the practical knowledge from experience, okay, that if it doesn't come from the inside out, by being responsible for the creative forces that come from the human mind, okay? Then, I'm going to ask Doug here to speak for a few minutes on this delicate subject. We need to have this understanding.
The thing that I would look at here is this. We can look at a person like Jan standing up here, and we can look at her healing up without anybody touching her. We can look at somebody else who may heal up where basically somebody is applying Reiki to them. And we can look at yet a third person who heals up where they're having a lot of pressure applied to them through body electronics. And the thing about it is that it's not ultimately the technique that's important. It's the fact that the individual themselves is getting access to the suppressed thought patterns, word patterns, and emotional patterns. And if we believe that it's possible to heal permanently and fully without re-experiencing the thought patterns, which are the sensory memories, the word patterns, and the emotional patterns, then we're really fooling ourselves. We have to experience all three of those things if there's going to be a change of consciousness. If the outer form, including the physical body, is a reflection of the inner creative essence, which will include the suppressed patterns of thought, word, and emotion, then there is no such thing as true permanent physical healing without a change of consciousness. Now, there are some people, as John has, and as we've seen yesterday, who are capable of doing that, who are capable of getting in contact with the thoughts, words, and emotions without anybody touching them one way or another. That is a fairly small portion of society that can do that. It's a very, most people cannot do that, okay? There may be a few others that maybe couldn't do it without anybody touching them, but maybe they could do it if somebody was doing Reiki to them. The majority of people won't be able to do that either. In fact, a lot of people can't even do it with body electronics. They can't even really get in contact with the pain because they're unwilling to without somebody applying a thumb or an elbow. But regardless of the technique, it is absolutely imperative that the individual re-experience the thoughts, words, and emotions. Now, you made a statement about 10 minutes ago that I really want to examine here very closely. You related the situation of a man having a broken foot healed, and if I may quote you, you made the statement, "I healed a broken bone." Yeah, we can roll the tape. That's exactly what you said. I listened very, very closely, and we could rewind the tape if you really want.
That was
but that's the statement that you made. I healed a broken
a
bone.
mistake on my part.
I would agree with you that that was a mistake on your part. Very much so. We have to look very, very closely at what's taking place here. If the individual, and by the way, I'm not objecting to the concept that somebody else could heal a broken bone because it can be done. Okay, there are certainly individuals that could heal someone else's broken bone in the sense of actually changing the physical structure of someone else's body. What I would say, though, is, do you all understand what I'm saying? There are definitely individuals that have that gift where they could heal somebody else's broken bone. Now, I don't know if that's what you did or didn't do. I'm just saying that's what you said you did. But what I want to look at is this. Let's suppose we did heal somebody else from the outside in. Let's suppose we did actually heal a broken bone where that individual had no change of consciousness whatsoever, where they didn't experience the pain, they didn't experience the memory, they didn't experience the words, the emotions, or anything. I would suggest that perhaps we really haven't done that individual a favor because they've had physical healing without the opportunity to actually change. Now, there's a time, place, and purpose for all things, and I think that includes healing from the outside in. So I'm not making it wrong, but I am saying that in the long run, what is most important here? The physical body that we happen to be inhabiting right now, or the opportunities to grow? And growth, the healing of the physical bone is not the growth experience for that individual. It's overcoming the resistances that led to that broken bone in the first place. That's the growth experience for that individual. And they can't do that without experiencing the pain. They can't do that without experiencing the emotions, which include the pain. They can't do that without experiencing the words, the memories, and everything else that's locked in here. So if we watched Jan up here yesterday, the most marvelous thing about her experience yesterday is not that she can swing out of bed to take a leak during the middle of the night, although that's quite marvelous. But the most marvelous thing is that she's had a change of consciousness to where she's a very different person. And if I may say something that may sound a bit absurd, the physical healing in a lot of ways is just a nice side effect of the change of consciousness. Now, a lot of people take exception to that statement, but I stand by it. And I'm not knocking physical healing one bit. It's marvelous. And let's face it, it's the motivation that gets a lot of people involved in something like this to begin with. But ultimately, what are we really here to do? Patch bodies together or evolve? I'm quite serious about that. Because if we're just here to patch bodies together, then this is just another body balancing game, and it's not what I'm about. I'm here for myself and for everyone else to put us into a position where we're capable of changing consciousness, overcoming the resistances that are there.
Doug, I will differ with you on one point. If you understand Selva mind control, they can take a very bad accident to the body and heal that particular body part with absolutely no pain. Is that agreed upon? Okay. This is my experience. Let's say a person cuts themselves across the arm. With Selva mind control, is it possible to stop that bleeding instantly and to patch that body up to where it heals? Except for one thing, what's left on the arm? In all cases, you'll find people with a scar left on their arm or on their leg or on the part of their body, even though they feel no pain at the time. Now, the pain that has been blocked off that the person didn't feel will be in that structure of the scar. When you take that scar under body electronics, then you unblock the pain and re-experience the pain at that time, then the scar will go. But they have said, the same thing you have said, is that you can heal that instantly and there'll be no pain. That's because they have blocked off that pain, and that blocked off pain contains the resistance which will still create a scarring condition on the human body. So we have to look past the outer event and take an actual look at the resistance involved that the person never felt. And even though it's blocked off, the pain to be healing that body properly so as not to pass that down genetically down to future generations, to heal that properly, you have to go back totally and re-experience the pain. And this is what a lot of people do not want to do. That's why they have other techniques, so they don't have to feel the pain. They don't have to go through that particular problem. Okay, so continue on, sir.
A man with whom I'm acquainted with is a Filipino psychic surgeon. And I've had the opportunity to have him as a guest in my home on a number of occasions and talk to him at length about what he does. And for those of you that are not familiar with this, there are individuals, I suppose there's probably people from other parts of the world, but there are certainly individuals in the Philippines, and it's usually, it appears to come down in families. You know, it's not something that can be taught, apparently. It is a bit of a gift where there'll be a certain, usually one person in each generation in a given family that appears to have the gift, and then they start getting trained at a pretty young age. And my friend was basically started his training, I think, when he was around 9 years old or so. But these individuals are able to perform what some might refer to as bloodless surgery. That's not really quite the right term, but basically these people are able to stick their hands inside somebody's body visibly. I mean, you can watch them doing this and reach around in there and pull out, pull out things. Now, this concept has been trashed a lot on a lot of tabloid TV and all that, and I'm sure there probably are people doing it who really are charlatans. I'm sure there probably are people who really are just pulling little bits of chicken guts out of their sleeves and whatnot. But I can assure you that there are also people that can truly do this, because I've seen it happen. I've had it done in my own body. And there very definitely are people that have this gift where they can reach inside someone's body. And how many of you are aware of this? Okay, good. In talking to this friend of mine, this is certainly, I think we can probably all agree, this is healing from the outside in. In other words, the individual who's undergoing the procedure is not typically experiencing much in the way of a change of consciousness. They're not typically going through a lot of pain. They're not typically getting memories, emotions, and so on, word patterns. They're simply having something removed from the body. And what's been related to me is that what he finds, because he more or less travels a circuit, spends most of the year in the United States and goes from place to place, and he'll come back to the same places once or twice a year. And one of the things that he finds, which is very, very frustrating, is he ends up seeing a pretty high percentage of the same people over and over again with the same problem, where he'll remove a tumor or some type of problem in the body and then go back there 6 months later or a year later, and the individual will be in much the same boat that they were in when last he visited them. And by my way of thinking, it's really pretty obvious why this is. There hasn't been a change of consciousness, and if you consider that the consciousness of the individual, which I might add, exists at the mental body level, which is outside of time and space, at least in part. The mental body level exists simultaneously outside of time and space, as well as within time and space, which is a difficult concept sometimes for people to understand until they've been there. But the bottom line here is that the consciousness of an individual, including the reactive patterns that are embedded within it, you could say that these don't simply exist somewhere, somewhen, but they actually exist everywhere, everywhen. It's a hologramic situation. The consciousness of the individual is what determines the morphogenetic field. Which you could think of as the energy field, which then in turn determines the structure of the physical body. Now, both the physical body as well as the morphogenetic field exist within time and space. In other words, they exist somewhere, somewhen. I mean, you have a physical body and it's right here, right now. or it was right there, right then, but it is in a particular time and space. I mean, Jan stood up here, right here last night and went back through experiences that had happened in a specific time and a specific place, some other time, some other place. But in either case, you're still dealing with something that's in a time and in a space. If you're trying to heal from the outside in, consider this. The consciousness of the individual exists outside of time and space. It's everywhere, every when. The morphogenetic field and the physical body exists within time and space. If you're trying to heal from the outside in, you're trying to work within time and space, in other words, with energy patterns or physical matter. You're trying to change something that exists outside of time and space from within time and space, and this is not possible. It's not, you can manipulate energies till the cows come home.
Bottom line, I want Doug to repeat that clearly so you get it, because this is the bottom line in body electronics, where we're no longer a yin energy, where we are just being receptive to the energies that are coming into us through a Reiki treatment, for example, or any other type of energy manipulation type from the outside in. Now we're moving to a yang type situation, where we're moving toward a re-experience by conscious choice of those things that we have created that we're now learning to be responsible for. And this takes a tremendous amount of mental effort. It's not just having something being done to us. Now, I consider that your Reiki work is bringing the energy to a channeling situation from the outside in. This is what I see happening. I'm seeing a person using that energy, non-directed, but for their highest and best good. They're not deciding where the energy is going. It's going where it has to go, to help to balance the person up. But it's a yin type energy. The person is being the effect of that energy, rather than taking the bull by the horns and learning how to be causative in that energy by recreating the energies, if I may use that word, that brought about the change in the morphogenetic field that determined the very structure of matter. And this is the difference, the major difference between body electronics, which only maybe 5% of the world is capable of doing, rather than a yin type energy, which would be, frankly, anybody can utilize. And this is why Reiki is so important, because it can bring a person gradually up to a point where they can be responsible then for their own existence.
Can I?
Go ahead, Doug. Complete your thing.
Basically, you can't change something that exists outside of time and space from within time and space.
Bottom line.
I mean, that's really the simplicity of it. You can manipulate the energy patterns, which are within time and space, all you want. You can play around with physical matter all you want. And, as I've said earlier, there's a time and place for all things. There's very definitely a time and a place for external energy manipulations. Just as there's a time and place for drugs, for surgery, for everything under the sun. I mean, there's a time to get a person to the emergency room and get their body patched back together. There's a time to suppress a symptom with a pharmaceutical to save a life. There's a time for all of these things. So I'm certainly not making any of these things wrong, but I think it's very important to understand what you can and cannot do with your healing from the outside in. And the one thing that you can't do with healing from the outside in is you can't change the consciousness of the other individual. In fact, even trying to heal yourself from the outside in by manipulating your own energy patterns, which a lot of people are trained in doing, you still can't change the consciousness that way, because it doesn't exist in time and space. It's not there. It's outside of time and space at the mental body level. You have to gain access to the mental body level first in order to be in a position to change consciousness. And you can't get there without obeying certain laws. You have to master the physical body to some extent. For example, yesterday Jan did a good job of holding the physical body still and remaining upright. By accessing the physical, you wobbled a bit, but you did pretty good. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. You discipline the physical body to some extent, and that's what allows access to the emotional body. You have to have a certain degree of control over the physical body just to be able to access the emotional body.
You had to go through the fire of the Kundalini, which you did in front of all these lovely people, before you could get to the vibration of regeneration, which you remember the vibrational factor. Every single thing just as textbook as you can get. And then you remembered the word patterns. You remembered the emotions, and you remembered the physical experience, all of which you recreated. So behind the creative process, which goes beyond a yin receptive experience, you take the bull by the horns and you recreate thought, feeling, and spoken word. And those are the only three areas: thought, feeling, and spoken word, and that is what is behind every single creative act. Now, from your experience, Jan, you will understand this, because you are now the creator with the energy change coming from within the body, then coming from outside the body, because nobody was even touching you. You were creating these things on your own volition.
Would it be fair to say, Jan, that what you experienced yesterday, what you re-experienced yesterday, was not what somebody else or the world did to you, but what you did to yourself, what you created for yourself?
Get the subtle differences. These are important things. And these are things I've been working on for 45 years. And these things are now manifest because people are now being brought up to the point where they're capable of experiencing and recreating from the inside out.
I've never had an experience of creating from the inside out. And I don't doubt that I did that at all. And I'm also aware that in telling you about it this morning, I've concentrated very much on the physical things because that's the way that we're conditioned. But in listening to Doug, I'm also aware that how I felt this morning was that mentally I felt absolutely terrific. And I hadn't reinforced that part of that growth. But in still never denying that that was an internal experience, I very much link back to John's voice, because he said, hold the mic and don't let it go. And somehow that happened. His voice was always there, so I don't know if that's me just a little bit frightened to fly on my own and say, hey, look at me, I did that from inside. But there was very much a link in John's voice in not only telling me what to do, but in a way he knew how my knees felt. He knew what that electrical current that came from my left anterior spine across to my right. He knew that before I told him it was there. So I've got a little bit more learning on that one yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I did nothing. Just want you to know, I did nothing but observe.
I guess the subtlety in that, John, is if you only observed, then why did you talk?
Sometimes I can't keep my mouth shut.
I know that. I understand that. Thank you.
A point that I would make here is this: we are ultimately the creators of our own experience. The physical experiences that we've had have been the result of the patterns of resistance that we're already putting out into the universe. So what I wanted to point out there is this. You had an experience of hurting your back trying to pick up that woman from the waterbed. You had that experience, and on the one hand, what you re-experienced yesterday was the resistance as that happened. You experienced the pain of hurting your back. You experienced the resistance since that time of living with an injured back. But what I think you also experienced, at least in part, was the fact that you already had patterns of resistance that created that experience of hurting your back in the first place. Is that correct? So that's the point I'm trying to make here. She didn't simply re-experience what the universe had done to her in the sense of, hurting her back. She also had the opportunity to see that she had done it to her. In other words, that it was her own patterns of resistance that caused her to injure the back in the first place. In other words, the resistance didn't come from the hurt back. The hurt back came from the resistance. Would you agree with that? There's more resistance that comes from hurting the back, but ultimately there was already resistance there that then created the outer experience of hurting the back, which I think you got through in part. Would you agree with that, Jan? There's more there. There's more there. But the point I'm making is the resistance, the inner creative force of thought, word, and emotion that's held in a continual state of creation by our resistance, that's what leads to the outer experience. We often, it's very easy for us to think, oh, we had the experience and we resisted it. Well, certainly our resistance to the experience keeps the ball rolling. It keeps us in that same rut. But we wouldn't have been in that rut in the first place if somewhere, somewhen, we weren't already resisting it. The inner comes before the outer. The cause comes before the effect. In a healing crisis, as we're do y'all get that? The inner comes before the outer. The unseen comes before the visible. The cause comes before the effect. In a healing crisis, you're going back through things in reverse order. So you're going to go back through the outer effect before you're able to see the cause. You're going to go back through the outer experience before you're going to be able to see the inner essence. But ultimately, it was the inner that created the outer, not the other way around.
You have that on tape? Okay, that's marvelous, Doug. Now, let's go back. I was kind of laughing at you a moment ago. What I was doing was not moving energy from the outside in. I want that clear. What I was doing was teaching a principle in a sequential and logical order. And so I tell you, okay, here's what's happening, and I say, now do this. And then you follow the rule, because you knew how to do the rule. See? And then you followed that rule, and then you went through the burning of the Kundalini, okay? That transmuted the emotional body. And then you started to get into the vibration. And then I explained to you, here's the rule. You followed the rule. And we went through that until everything went completely flat and we had a regeneration. Okay? So even though I was talking to you, it was not idle chatter. Everything was designed specifically to get you to recreate thought, feeling, and spoken word so that you could transmute that which you had held in a state of creation with your resistance. You follow me? You've got it. Okay, but that's why I had to smile there, and I said I can't keep my mouth shut. I was being a little bit flippant there. But the thing was, everything was designed for textbook. You do this, and then this happens. You do this, this happens. You do this, this happens. Okay? And I know exactly what to do, okay, pertaining to the human mind, to unravel the healing crisis is I know how exactly to get to bed at night. And there's absolutely no error there. Now, if you're capable of visualizing, bingo, you get the results you're looking for. Now, if you started out like I did, where I couldn't visualize, then I've had to grind the process out with the large crystallizations, grind them out and grind them out and grind them out, so to speak, by holding a point until I could eventually start releasing the pain that I had suppressed, not only genetically, at a soul level, but also through the traumas that I've gone through in this lifetime and prenatally. You with me on that? And so for the 98% of us who are trying to reach the bottom of the ladder, other people who can visualize must have done something right for many generations, because the visualization is there and they can get the results to the proper. And this is where you go into the higher laws, which body electronics only points the way to, and this is why we call it a barbaric technique, which we all, until we can visualize properly, we subject ourselves to until we can get through that and learn how to visualize properly. Okay? Does that help? Okay. Now, for many of us, we won't understand that until we experience it on an experiential level. But we have to learn to intellectualize it, first of all, to recognize it when we get there on an experiential level, because it's a sequential. Okay, now let's go through it. You go through the physical body and you prepare that physical body so it is a fit vehicle, cleansed through detoxifying the body, if we can use that word, although that is a very trite word and a very incomplete word, because it's more than just detoxifying the body. It's breathing deeply, using the sunlight properly, using pure water properly, and so on. Proper food, proper nutrients, so that the crystals in the body will begin to dissolve. Step one. Then we begin dealing with the point holding, so that the organic computer chip full of stored memory, okay, is able to be released. So using the words lovingly and willingly enduring, or letting it flow, okay, we learn how to feel and receive the blocked energies and re-experience them. And then we get into the fire of the Kundalini, which literally transmutes all emotionality that we have blocked in that area. There might be 1,000 areas that we need to go through. In my case, maybe 1,500. Okay? Now, we go through that. And once we've gone through the fire of the Kundalini, this gives us access then to the mental body, where we can start being responsible for our individual thought patterns. And here's where I have a little difference with Anna, is that we have to know what the thought patterns are, and we have to take out that little computer chip of memory and put in something in its place. And then we go on about our business, because we change our thinking, which is a very young quality. And we continue to go through the encompassment simultaneously of the existing dualities until we can move right back through the mental body to the time-space continuum work, which is the most powerful thing that has happened in our day. And eventually, long after I'm gone, you'll know that to be true. Okay? Because this will eventually come about to wherein the people will know how to transmute the mental body and move into the ascensional process. Okay? And we just take it a step at a time. But here's where we learn to control, from a very young point of view, all thought, feeling, and spoken word. And that's the principle involved, which people have not yet been made aware of on the planet, except in very high advanced areas where people are taught these things in the closed groups, in secret and so on, to train the yogas and train those people that have gone far beyond the average person. These things are not new. Nothing is new. It's new for us. Okay, now let's finish your statement, then we'll come back to Anna.
Thank you, John. That was a very important point with Jan. Yesterday we saw her run out of minerals, so to speak, because she was just about on her shoulder level and couldn't go through with that. How does that tie in with the point holders if any of the point holders are running out of minerals rather than the person that's on the
It goes
table?
both ways, sir. This is why we're trying to get the people who are holding points to be on the program, which will make the point holding more effective for both the point holder and the point holdee, because the point holder goes through healing crisis sometimes even more at a deeper level than the point holdee.
Right.
I've seen people who are lying on the table just going to sleep in unconsciousness, and 7 people just going through a healing crisis after healing crisis holding another person's points. So everyone must be involved.
So when one point holder runs out of minerals, that will affect the rest. Will they all cycle?
To some degree, but not the same, because one person is, shall we say, runs out of minerals, but they're not going to cycle. The cycling will be in reference to the person on the table, but not the point holdee. Not the point holder. The point holdee on the table is where the cycling is going to come from.
Very good.
Okay?
That answers it. Yeah, I can understand now from Jan's point also, because hers is on her own level, whereas the other one, it's a combined.
Yeah, and remember, Jan never had point holders.
That's right.
She was doing this strictly applying the laws of love, light, and perfection.
Right. Thank you, John.
Okay, hang on now. Are we clear on this now? Sir? We're clear. Okay. Doug, anything you want to add before we go on to Anna now? Okay, Anna, you're on.
Well, first off, I'd like to disagree quite vehemently that Reiki is just a yin type of healing. Reiki is a yin-yang type of healing, and I've seen many, if you like, miracles. Reiki is very much a yin-yang process, and I've seen, if you like, many miracles around Reiki. For example, in a Reiki seminar where people are being attuned with the energy, a woman came in with chronic fatigue syndrome on the first day of the seminar, and on the last day her chronic fatigue had gone completely, and she got up the next morning and got a job and went to work, and she's been working ever since. Now, throughout that weekend of the seminar, she was going through, I would think, all the levels. Sometimes I think it gets down to a question of semantics that have been talked about here on the emotional, physical, and spiritual levels. She was in pain for the whole weekend. We had Reiki channels working on her more or less round the clock. The point about the broken bone, which I certainly was not the healer, I believe Reiki energy is divinely inspired, and that, as Anita said yesterday, that in the way I would put it, is that the body basically has an agenda, and you can't go in and decide to go in and heal something on that person if the body has decided it's not ready to heal that particular part of the body. It may well be that the body is directed to another, that the healing is directed to another part of that body. Also, Doug's point that, in fact, I agreed to start with that Reiki energy was coming from the outside in. But when I began to hear what Doug was saying about manipulating energies, then I withdraw that. Reiki is, if you like, universal life force. And when one is attuned with energy, one becomes a Reiki channel. And the energy comes in through the crown chakras and out through the palm chakras. And one is simply a channel for energy. One is not the healer, and one is not drawing, if you like, on one's own batteries in order to manipulate or direct energy. One simply, if you like, puts hands on someone, or indeed, Reiki does not have to be applied hands on, it can be applied hands off. You do not have to touch the person at all. And the energy, which is divinely inspired, will go to that part of that person which it is necessary to heal. So what I'm saying is that this Reiki energy heals from the inside out. Because it is working on such a deep level, there is no way that a Reiki channel can manipulate energy. The only people, I believe, who can manipulate energy are those who have not been attuned with Reiki, which is basically universal life force. They're running on their own batteries, perhaps running on their own agendas, and they are able to manipulate energy.
I don't think anybody, Anna, said that the Reiki practitioner was manipulating energy. That was not stated.
Doug was saying that, talking about manipulating energies.
I never said anything about Reiki. I said manipulation of energy, but never
Coming from the outside in, which I'd already agreed with.
I talked very specifically about healing from the outside in, and I talked very specifically about Reiki, not about Reiki, but about manipulation of energies. I haven't said a single word about Reiki.
That's correct. So let's
I'm talking principles, not techniques.
okay?
Okay.
Now, next point here, we do know that Reiki does not manipulate. The person is a channel for energy which flows through that channel, one way or the other, to the recipient of that energy. That is yin, because the person is in the process of receiving, which is yin. Now, if you understand the yin-yang relationship, wherever you have yin, you'll have a certain amount of yang. And wherever you have yang, you'll have a certain amount of yin, so you can't separate the two. But you have certain levels where you have more yin and a little bit of yang, or more yang and a little bit of yin because of the nature of it. Now, that's explained in my books back there very clearly. Now, the problem that we have to look at is that the person is receiving themselves, okay? Now, the Reiki will work at a very deep level, and I agree with you on that. I'm not arguing with you on that point whatsoever. But I'm saying that because of our experience, okay, and what is brought forth on the earth at this point of time, we're now going into a deeper level where people are learning to be responsible for their own thought patterns and being responsible for it from a very young point of view, where they're taking an active role and responsibility for an understanding of the thought processes which have brought forth the outer creation. And this is not done and is not taught in the Reiki process.
Well, I would have to disagree, because in my understanding of Reiki, that anyone, as the receiver receives the energy, what their body does with that energy is a very yang process, and one is taught that they could undergo a healing crisis.
We're not talking about the body. The body is a physical vehicle, which is our horse, which we ride. And the body is to be brought forth through a discipline to come into harmony with us as an intelligence, which in the Huna philosophy we call the middle self. That's who we are as an intelligent being. We're the middle self. And so we're here to bring that body into a discipline with the middle self. Now, that's important. And we do agree with you that Reiki works on the body in this aspect. But what we're dealing with now is the consciousness of man, which goes beyond the body, controls and dictates the body, and is not just receiving the energy. It's going into the consciousness change by a deliberate, young activity of the spirit involved. This is where the difference is.
Well, I have to say, when I'm treating people privately, that is exactly what I take people through. If someone is undergoing a healing crisis, in fact, there is someone in this room, I don't know if she's prepared to stand up and speak about that, that I've actually treated, who came to me in a very difficult state and it was on a number of antibiotics and had been injected with antibiotics. And for 4 days, I worked on this woman who promptly went home and began to get extremely ill, and I actually helped her through that healing crisis and 4 days later she was able to get up and go back to work.
I have no question about that whatsoever.
So there is a conscious...
But where was the yang experience?
The yang experience was in the fact that this woman was able to recreate the energy that was given to her into a yang experience and get beyond her situation.
Well, see, how you're
and get well.
How you're using the words here are different than my understanding at a very deep level as to how to learn to be responsible for thought, feeling, and spoken word. And that's our job in body electronics. It's a different modality, of course, than Reiki. There are similarities, but we're dealing at a very, very deep level of personal responsibility.
So is Reiki. And anyone who is attuned with Reiki energy basically gets their power back and is able for that time forward, and assuming that they've been taught properly, to be able to take responsibility for themselves.
Okay.
On every level.
But we need to understand that Reiki is not body electronics, and that body electronics is not Reiki. There's a different modality, a different approach entirely, depending upon the needs of the people involved.
Yeah, but I think that ultimately the outcome, although one is not one and the other is not the other, the ultimate outcome for anyone experiencing either modality is that we're all working for everybody's highest good.
Agreed. Doug?
Well, it seems to me like in a lot of ways we're pretty much back where we started. Maybe I'm just hearing things differently, but regardless of whether, I mean, you initially said that Reiki was energy that was coming from the outside in, and now you're saying it's energy coming from the inside out. Ultimately, in terms of the principles that we're looking at here, that doesn't really make much of a difference, because the bottom line is, whichever direction the energy is coming from, it's still just energy, and energy exists within time and space. And if you want to change consciousness, you have to get beyond energy, you have to get beyond time and space, you have to get to the mental body level. And no energy is going to do that. No energy is going to change consciousness. So when I hear you make a statement that anybody who's been attuned with Reiki from that point on is going to be able to assume complete responsibility for their life on all levels, that's sheer nonsense. I mean, you can't, nothing that's given to you by anybody else in the form of an attunement gives you the ability to be responsible for your life on all levels. That's something that takes many, many years of effort and you know, line upon line, step by step, precept upon precept, mastering many, many, many gradient levels of experience. So I hope you didn't really mean that, because it's nonsense what you said there.
No, I meant that it is. I
mean, with all due respect,
it actually, as a tool, being attuned with Reiki, and certainly from my experience, is for many people the first step on the rung of taking responsibility for their own lives.
That I have no problem with, but to say that that just being attuned in Reiki gives the person the ability to be responsible for their life on all levels, that's a pretty big semantic leap for me to understand how we could be on the same page with that one.
Bottom line, Anna, we're all Reiki therapists, okay? We understand Reiki. We've used it for years. That's bottom line. But what we see happening in Reiki, we don't deny that good is resolved from it, but we find it a very yin, very soft, very gentle technique. This is what we find. What we find is it doesn't get into the very deep, permanent change by change of consciousness, which can only take place outside of time and space. It doesn't happen within time and space, because within time and space we're only dealing with the manipulation of matter. When you get through into the mental body, which the practitioners of body electronics understand, then we get into the actual change of consciousness, because we are aware of the word patterns. Yes, we are. We are aware of the very word patterns that are the basis of creation. Now, don't just put it on the shelf, but this is where it is. And it goes far deeper, to my knowledge and to my understanding, than any other modality in the field of the mind, where we get back in the time-space continuum work. And don't shake your heads on this one, because if most people are down on what they're not upon, okay? This is basically it. Just put it on the shelf and let it ride. When you experience it, you will then understand it. Yes, sir?
I'm a layman in all of these things, so please excuse my ignorance. It seems to me that the two positions are fairly closely aligned, but sitting back there listening and having some understanding about the principles behind the energy flows that are involved in all of this, it would seem to me that the main difference between the two positions that are being expressed there at the moment is that of the attitude of the client. It sounds to me as if the person perhaps, no, I'm not saying this is always the case, but perhaps coming for Reiki treatment is looking for a fix of some description, a physical repair job, whereas perhaps the client in body electronics is coming more prepared, has decided before they get to the point of having pressure points held that they need to change their mental construct about how they relate to the world, and therefore how their body will relate to the world, so that the outcome through body electronics perhaps can be more permanently achieved than other modalities.
I can't agree with that either, because the sincerity of the individual who enters into Reiki is every bit as sincere as the person going into body electronics.
I'm not suggesting that that's not the case.
Yeah, it's not just a repair job. People are looking for meaning in life.
Also, if we're talking about the client, that's in the consultation area where perhaps someone hasn't had Reiki at all. Perhaps if we take that into the person who chooses to go and get themselves attuned with the Reiki energy, and the person going into body electronics. Yes, I would agree with John that they're equally sincere in their search.
Granted, we all want patch-up jobs. I think that's true too.
Okay, I'm not, as I said, I'm not doubting the sincerity of the individual. I mean, I personally want a patch-up job in some areas, and I also want to continue growing my life, my presence here. And that's one of the reasons I'm here. If I were to decide to go and get some Reiki therapy or attunement, I could go and have a consultation, presumably, and perhaps get zapped by the energy flow or attuned. I'm not trying to be facetious really here. I mean, I know that there is a very positive aspect to all of this, but it seems to me that perhaps there isn't the same requirement on the client to go into their own history and deal with their own issues prior to being treated.
It depends on the Reiki teacher. You have two different schools of Reiki and some breakaway groups and so on. But when you're teaching, first of all, for the Reiki masters who are sincere about what they're doing, they will sit and educate, sometimes for hours on an individual on what they need to do to be responsible for their own life. Now, there are others that don't. They just come in for a treatment and really not very much is explained. And so you have two extremes. And I would imagine that the basis of how they operate what comes out of the consciousness of the practitioner.
So what you need to do if you're looking for a Reiki master is to do your research well.
Obviously. Thank you for those words. I am now more confused than I was before about the differences between about which you speak.
Let's get you more confused now. You have people who are trained in body electronics that sow more confusion in people's lives, and we just sit and shake our heads and get very upset because, as far as I'm concerned, they're way off the deep end. And yet they profess to have had training in body electronics. And you have the same thing in Reiki, because you can go to two different practitioners and get complete different representation as to what Reiki is.
I think that the Reiki masters in Australia are more or less apprentices. When I was in Japan doing martial arts, we had a very high level people that were working in much higher areas with energy than we are in Australia. There's one Chinese practitioner here in Australia, Qigong master, who is actually working with about 20 different symbols which represent matrices of energy, whereas we masters are working with 3, 4 different energy patterns, and these particular energy patterns are used by different individuals for their own particular use, like scientific research or whatever the individual is particularly attracted to. So I think we're just starting to work to just even vaguely understand these energies.
I think what we really need to do here is look at the underlying principles that govern all healing. And John's expressed it very simply. I mean, if you really want to get permanent healing, you have to change consciousness. The inner has to change, which exists outside of time and space, in order for the outer to change permanently. And ultimately, without regard to the technique that is utilized, that's still what must be fulfilled or accomplished, is the change of consciousness. If a person's truly getting a change of consciousness and really getting that healing, they were not healed by the energy. Like, say if that happens to happen in Reiki, they were not really truly healed by that energy. You could simply say that energy helped to put them into a position where they were able to change consciousness. Just like in body electronics, if a person has their spine heal up, they weren't healed by somebody else's thumb or elbow. The thumb or the elbow was a prop that helped to put them into a position where they could experience the inner essence and change it. So I think one of the biggest confusions that seems to be here is really looking at where the healing's coming from. Whatever technique is employed by the practitioner, shall we say, or by whoever's working with you, it's still ultimately the individual who's on the table that's going to be, and the God within that individual that's going to be responsible for the healing. It's been my observation over the years, John has said body electronics is a barbaric technique, which I would agree with, And as a result of that, I think it's very, very suitable for most people, because that's where most of us are at. We're at I mean, just take something as simple as this. How many people here have a surgical scar in your abdomen? Okay? If you sit there without touching it, try to feel the pain of the surgery. Try to feel the pain that's locked into that scar. Most people will feel very, very little just sitting there. There are people that can do it. There are people that can get right in contact with that, and Heather's done it. There are people that can go right through that, but most people are not capable of it. Heather can visualize. Now, I don't want you to get hung up on a point here, so I want you to just do this for a second or two. Don't, but just take your thumb and your forefinger and give a good pinch on that scar. Just give a good pinch on that scar. Anybody get any pain there? Okay. Now, how did you get more pain? By pinching on the scar or by just sitting there? Okay, by pinching. So what does this tell us? Sometimes you need a good barbaric technique to help to elicit the pain that's locked in there. Now, some of you, I'm sure, probably could just sit there and go right through the operation and get the scar to disappear. But I'd be surprised if there were more than 4 or 5 people here that could do that. Most people are going to need a little bit of help. Most people are going to need, somebody to grab that scar and hold on to it to help to get the pain up. The thing about it is, if somebody comes over and plugs in on that scar and holds it, and you go through a point holding session, and eventually 3-4 hours down the line the scar's totally disappeared, it's not that other person's hand that got rid of the scar. It's not the pressure that was applied that got rid of the scar. Those are just props. It's not the minerals that you took, or the Schweitzer that you took, or the enzymes that you took that got rid of the scar. Those two are just props. They're good props. They're damn good props, if you don't mind my saying so. But they're still just props. Pardon my French. But the thing about it is that in the level that most of us are at, we need some good props. We need some techniques. We need some things that work for most of us. But ultimately, what gets rid of that scar is the fact that the individual is able to go back and re-experience the trauma that's locked there into the body. And I'm in favor of anything that works. I'm in favor of anything that allows that individual to do that. In my experience, most people that works on correct principle. So regardless of what the technique is, I'm in favor of it if it's in alignment with these principles and is getting the job done. In my observation, there's not a whole lot out there that is in alignment with correct principle and is actually getting the job done on a consistent basis. I mean, you can spend an awful lot of years in the healing arts, and you're not going. I mean, you may find in certain modalities isolated incidences of a scar disappearing, or a broken bone healing up, or a brown eye going blue, or any of a number of other things. But you got to look beyond the isolated incidences to see where are you seeing that happen consistently. Because that, to me, is the most promising avenue to follow. Something that's in alignment with correct principle and is working for a good amount of the people. Now, as John said, even body electronics, we're maybe only 5% of the population's ready for this. But 5% is pretty darn good, actually.
I used to think 5%. I'm more inclined to believe around 2 to 3%.
That's not bad, though. That's a lot of people worldwide.
Tape? Lil.
John, you said before that body electronics is not Reiki and Reiki is not body electronics. And in my experience, I've found that when you get large groups of people working together in point holding sessions, there seems to be people who have worked with Reiki want to put their Reiki energy into that point holding session and want to actually change the experience that you're having. Now, whether this comes through ego, and which sometimes I feel that it does, sometimes I feel that it comes just through a genuine, desire to help you. But I've found sometimes at the end of a session, someone will say to me, or halfway through a session, "Oh, I've been sending you Reiki energy to help you with the pain." Well, I mean, that's my pain and that's my experience, and I need to actually go back and re-experience that to get the emotion, to access the emotional body, so then I can access the mental body, so I can then experience my own healing, or re-experience the trauma that has actually locked the crystals into my body. Yeah, and I just find that this is really, for me, I see it as being out of integrity with body electronics work when people coming from a Reiki perspective come in and do that. And I've had that experience on a number of occasions, or afterwards, you know, maybe when you've had your hand in someone for a while and they want to come and Reiki you. I don't believe that, well, you're talking energy healing here, and I don't believe that energy healing should be given to someone unless they either request it or unless it is done with the knowledge of the recipient, because, you know, I mean, I think you should have free choice in that, and it's actually taking away your free agency and free choice. Could you comment on that?
And dealing with this, Lel, you have a people who are coming out of sympathy rather than empathy when they're doing this type of technique. If they're coming out of sympathy rather than empathy, that's not Reiki. Because what they want to do is they want to heal you rather than just let you be who you are and let you do what has to be done to heal yourself. Now that's where a Reiki becomes a true Reiki healer becomes non-judgmental. They simply, according to my understanding, they allow energy to flow from the universal life force through their attunement, which allows that to happen, to simply that you will heal according to your highest and best good, with no pressure, no desires, no attachment to outcome. Listen to the wording, no attachment to outcome whatsoever. You're not concerned over what she does with whatever energy she has. She's responsible. But there's no attachment at all to outcome. If you're doing a proper job of body electronics, doing a proper job of Reiki. Now, bottom line, we do recommend that all body electronics practitioners also are trained in Reiki. Now, we recommend it. If people want to do that, that's their business. If they don't want to, that's their business. But the thing is, it's improper procedure to want something for somebody else, because that means that we see them as imperfect. If we see them just as they are, we see them as the outer manifestation of their inner essence, we see them as perfect. And there's no judgment put upon the fact, well, they're imperfect because they need to get healed here or they need to get healed here. But most people don't understand that. And therefore they're trying to enact a healing rather than just allow it to happen naturally. Now, this is in defense of the good Reiki people who know what they're doing.
The other experience I've had is just listening to people talk through these sessions is that often someone who has had some Reiki training, and often even, you know, it may only be level 1 or level 2, they'll try and speed up the point holding session for the person on the table, which I don't think is really coming from integrity either.
Can I just say something on that? It is, as John has just said, nobody, whether they're doing Reiki or anything, can speed things up or make things better or make things happen faster, because that's simply ego, and that is attempting to manipulate energy. And from a Reiki point of view, if one tries to manipulate energy, then the energy switches off. It doesn't work. So, as I said, Reiki energy is divinely inspired.
I'd just like, Anna, you to comment on people sending people Reiki energy from a distance without the recipient's knowledge, which I know happens a lot. And I know of an experience with someone at Genazzano who actually had to go to hospital, and there were a lot of people there who had just received Reiki training, and a lot of people were sending her Reiki. And I was talking to her about it afterwards, and she said she almost felt like she was being zapped from many different angles, and it was too much for her. And I just thought, this is amazing, and all these people who've just learnt this new technique, and they're all trying to I mean, probably all trying to help, but it's also they're all coming, a lot of them are coming from ego as well. I mean, how do you see that in terms of sending someone energy? Would you always, well, have some sort of contact with that person? I mean, to see whether they were actually wanting to receive it. And because I would not personally want anyone to send me anything like that unless I knew it was going to be happening, unless that was the person that I wanted the energy from. I'm, yeah, very particular on that. Yes.
Stay there.
Yeah.
Remember where you are. Izzy, please come up here. Come up here, Izzy. Bottom line. If I hold up one finger like this, I want to have you visualize her in violet, the violet color through her body. If I hold up 5 fingers like this, I want you to visualize black going through her body. Okay? Let's just, don't do anything now. Just resist me. Resist me. Resist me again. Good. Very strong lady. Okay? You ready? Okay? Can you see my fingers? Okay. Now visualize that color surrounding her entire body. Resist me? Now, what did you feel? No strength.
No, I was just totally weak.
Totally weak. Okay? Now, you ready? Can you see my finger again? Okay? Okay. Resist me. What do you notice?
More strength.
More strength. A lot of strength, right? Okay. The first time I raised up 5 fingers, you visualized black. What happened to her body? It weakened the body. This is how we do, just by thinking of a person from a distance. We can destroy their health by thinking black. Or violet, what happened when we visualize violet? Strong. And that from a distance, we're visualizing violet, and she gets strong. The same thing with love, the same thing with resistance and ugliness and hatred toward that person, where we hold a grudge to them. So basically, if we want to look and find out what we're doing, every time we think negative of an individual over a distance around the world, they get weakened by it and don't even know it. Let me give you an example. When I hold this one up, it could be 5 fingers, it could be 1 finger, but when I hold this one up here, okay, I want you to think negative about her. Just for a second, just think negative. You know, and feel negative. When I hold this one up, find something about her that's positive and think positive about her. Okay, you ready? Okay? I'm going to hold up this finger. You got it? Okay? Ready? Resist me. Nothing there. You ready? Resist me. What'd you notice? A lot more strength. Now, did you do anything to yourself? No, none whatsoever. This is how, by thinking negatively about any other human being, where we are critical, whether we're upset about them and so on, and we're judging, we're critical, we're negative, we do them a lot of damage, health-wise. If we think positive about a person, we're always uplifting them, and they can feel it clear across a distance. Now, let's go back to one area. Ready? Remember what this is? Okay, ready? Either. Well, one was positive and one was negative. Okay. This has to do, remember, this one here has to do with a negative picture, all right? This one has to do with a positive picture, okay? Okay. Ready? Okay. You ready? Resist me. Nothing there. Now, take this one. Okay? Now I'm going to do my thing. Resist me. Okay? You ready? Resist me. What'd you feel? What happened? I counteracted completely any negative energy there. And you can think as negatively as you want to. We counteracted the energy, and she's still going to be strong. It's that simple. Pardon? You'll learn how. Okay? Now that is how, I can't explain it to you, I can do it. All right? But the thing is you give me something bad. Does anybody have a candy bar here for their sweet tooth? We're going to go through this a little bit, but this is how we can handle things from a distance. Well, I want a good candy bar. Now, we all know that we all have sweet tooths occasionally. Oh, my. Oh, my. What's in them? Are you ready? Okay. Now, I'm going to have Issy just let's go back to resistance again. No mind tricks here now. Ready? Resist me. Fairly nice and strong. Okay. Resist me. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You take these and they weaken your body. Now, bottom line, anybody can do this. All I'm going to do is bless this. Just hang on for a moment. This is hard to bless. My goodness. Are you operating on a death wish by putting these things in your pocket? All right, now we go. Put these back here. Now, resist me. What were they like before? No strength whatsoever. Okay, now let's take care of it. Good. I'm blessed. Okay, now just simply resist me. Nothing there. You can have them back. Now, the thing is, the power of the human mind is the most powerful thing in the world. When you do your kinesiology, or what we call the muscle testing, you think positive of things and things become strong and healthy and well. That's why some people can have the worst diet in the world. They bless their food, it's transformed, and they can just feel wonderful eating nothing but junk food. Okay? But a person who is upset all the time, no matter how much wonderful organic food they put in their system, and they're all judgmental and critical and upset with themselves mostly because they're not healing fast enough, it's never good enough, it's not fast enough, then everything they take into their system will ferment on them. There's no value in it whatsoever, no matter how good the food is. So it's more important what comes out of the mouth than what goes in. You understand me? It's not what we put into the body as much as what is coming out of the body in the idea of thought, feeling, and spoken word. So please keep that in mind. Did we illustrate this clear enough? Issy, did I fudge on you in any way? The strength was there, then it wasn't there. And you could feel the difference. And I could too. Now, I wasn't playing any mind games with her at all, except that one time, and I told you that. But the thing is, you can simply overcome anything by visualizing love, by visualizing positive attitudes, no matter how negative things may appear to be, and by using the violet flame. Okay? And that's what I used on your little sack of goodies. Now, would you please take that sack of goodies and put them in your hand? Remember, these were very weak at first, then they were strong. Now, just visualize the violet flame moving right up through that, and hold that little bunch of goodies until you feel a little vibration. You got it. Feel the vibration in there? Just in your hand. Okay, keep it there until the vibration's gone. Perfect. Okay, bring them up here. Issy? Okay,